Hey everyone, this is Sabrina and I'm going to be putting together my April pages for my reading journal in my Archer and Olive notebook. I always start with adding my little tiny books, or Barbie books as my daughter calls them, in the overall year spread. I have 8 for April. April was kind of a slow month for reading. So I added in those tiny covers and now I will write in the various titles on my shelves. And I cannot believe that I'm already on the second shelf for this year. It's been a pretty good reading year so far, and I'm trying to make more time to read. But like I said, April was a little bit of a slow month because I only read 8 books. That's a little bit of a slow month for me. So my monthly fave, it was a tie between Things We Never Got Over. I can never get the title right. That might be the title. Or Brightside Running Club. And I decided to go with Brightside Running Club. Filled in the 8 for my Goodreads and then colored it in with a purple marker. So I think I'm at 35 books, I think. I haven't added it up, but I'm doing good for my reading and I love reading. I love reading. I filled in a bunch of letters this time. I've mentioned this in my other video, but I like filling out the A to Z challenge with a book that really meant something to me and really is a book I want to remember. Like B for Barry Squire's Full Tilt, which is actually one of the books that I'm going to make a separate favorites page for, so I'll talk more about that book later. I'm adding another book to the Year of Smut challenge, and I also made sure to add April to it. That way I know that I read it in April, and it's the book Things We Never Got Over. There you go. I don't know why I can't say that book title, but I added in my 5 stars, and now I'm going to add in the April, May, June piece to it because obviously that challenge came out, and I'm going to do the same flap design and also add in some faves. I only did 3 this time. I don't know. I just decided to do 3. And then I can add a little saying at the bottom. This time I didn't. I think I was just busy with the kids and just forgot to add in a stamped sentiment for that. So 3 faves for this one, and I'm excited to get started on finding some books because that's what I love to do. I'll Google whatever the topic is. I know there's one with a car, so I'll Google books with a car on a cover. So something like that. I always like to research my books. Okay, April was the month that I decided I am going to start the Bloom Challenge. I am going to find some books. And I found 3 that I was able to read for the challenge. One of them being pick a book in the decade that you grew up in. So I did 90s, and then a book of essays and a Pulitzer Prize winning book. So I did those 3. All right, now we can start on April and doing my calendar. For April, I have already kind of penciled out the calendar, and I made sure to make it kind of small like the February one, and I stamp April over on the far right side. Go looking through my die cuts to see if there's anything that I can use. I find a black die cut that says Good Book, Cozy Nook. Also pulled out a blue die cut, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use that because I wind up changing out the washi tape in just a little bit and going with the star washi tape that I got from Pipsticks. I use that all over the place in my April journal pages, and now I'm using it in my reading journal. So I just love it. So now I am filling in the boxes for my calendar, and again there's I make a line and then I count over 3 dots, and then on the 4th dot I make another line. So it makes for really tiny boxes, but it makes it so that it doesn't take up too much room. And then I write out Monday through Sunday, and then I'll find a marker that I really like that goes with it, and I'll fill in little circles for the dates. This is where I decided, you know what, I'm going to go with this washi tape. I don't care if I've already used it. I just love it so much. So I'm going to go with the star washi tape and also add in some black washi tape. And of course, I will have to figure out if I want to include the blue or not. And I'm choosing not to. I will cover up the blue stamped flower with some purple. So I'm just stamping that several times on a piece of paper. And then I can fussy cut those those out and chop them in half and use them in different sections. I'll then add in a few more stamped phrases and also the number of books, plus fill in the calendar for my books and how many days it took me to read a book. So I'm just positioning the flowers in the different spots that I want them, so that way I can get a nice visual triangle, and that way your eye can roam over the spread. Stamped my 8 and also picked a stamp that I haven't used yet, which is I read past my bedtime. Yes, I do. Every night. And then I stamp get lost in a good book. So just a few little phrases, and then I can start working on the calendar. Also added in bookmarks are for quitters, which is so true too. So I circle in the purple, and then I add in the dates with a black pen, and then I can begin filling in the dates that I read the various books. I tried to take most of that out of the editing because I didn't think you'd want to see that. So I just added in a little bit of it. So I started off the month with Barry Squires, which was an incredible book. Again, I read that for the Bloom Challenge decades, 90s decades. And oh my goodness, it was such a surprise, amazing book. I loved it. And Things We Never Got Over was my romance read this month, and that was incredible. When you get a chance, that was a rookie mistake, I feel like, because as book readers, if you really don't like a book, you should just toss it and not read it. And I stuck it out with that book, and it was a drag, and my first 3-star read of the year. I just felt like it was maybe too, I don't know. I didn't like the character. The main character, I felt like she was kind of being a brat, like a teenage brat, and I don't know. Didn't like it, and I should have just put it away, and I didn't. So there you go. That was When You Get a Chance. Finished up this spread with some sparkles, and now I can move on to the stats page. I'm going with the same formula, same design that I've done all the other months. It just makes it easy and cohesive. So I start with a black striped washi and then a purple washi. Stamp all the stats, and I aim for as straight as I can. If it doesn't wind up that straight, oh well, doesn't really matter. Like I always say, doesn't really matter, doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Let's just keep moving forward. So I stamp all the stats. Then my next step is going to be stamping the lines for pages. Because I remember one month, I don't remember which month it was, I had forgot to stamp the lines for pages, and I almost ran out of room. Made sure to add 2 strips of washi over on the right-hand side. I guess I'm going to figure out how I'm going to put my books down first. So I'm going to put those down, and it's only going to be 2 rows of 4, and that will work perfect. These books are 1.5 inches high and then 1 inch wide. So they're really tiny, and I actually cut them with my Cameo. That way they come out straight. So I cut all the books on my Cameo because they're so small. And that way it makes it easier on me. Stamped all the book ratings. Now I'm going to go ahead and stamp my lines for pages. I made a super long line for pages. I don't know why, but I did. So eventually I will stamp some flowers and make a little cluster down at the end of that line. I read 2,527 pages. Now the 7 in that stamp, it looked like part of it had been like bitten off or cut off or something, but it is a 7 in the stamp set. I don't know what happened to it though. So I have 2 lines for genres, and I'm going to just include a handful of the different genres that I read. I added in 4 boxes, so that way I could do paper, Kindle, and 2 different categories that I'm going to figure out as I go. So I do paper, Kindle, and then I'm trying to think of a category, and I come up with dragged on, meaning the book like just dragged on. And I'm kind of looking at my books to determine. The next final one is Bloom Challenge, because I really focused on reading some books from the Bloom Challenge and wound up with 3. I already talked about one of the books that dragged on, When You Get a Chance, and the other one was The Night Watchman. I don't know. For me, it was a good story, but it just felt like it dragged on. I think the book was nearly 500 pages. Okay, so I wrote down the wrong genre. I was looking at my May list. I wrote down queer, and that is for May. Um, and so I had to get a piece of paper from the back of the notebook and cut it out and laid it over so that way I could write the correct genre, which was thriller, and then I have Native American, romance, young adult, and Regency. I'm going to do another goof when I go to write down the dates for the books, and I'm going to have to do another little trick of cutting out some paper and pasting it over. So I colored in all my book ratings, and then I'm writing out April in my thicker pen, and then I'll go back and kind of look at the calendar to get the dates. I guess maybe it's redundant to have the dates twice, but I don't know. I love seeing the dates, and I love seeing the calendar and how many days it takes me to read a book. And it kind of makes me try to figure out ways to find more time to read. So I stamped book rating in the back, cut that out, and then put it over when you get a chance. That way I could fill in the 3 stars. And then I can keep going and filling in my dates that I read the book. The Brightside Running Club was another favorite, and that's going to get its own double-page spread. I absolutely adored that book. It was just incredible. And Stephanie Howell, the Bloom Challenge creator, she was the one that recommended it. And of course, it was an incredible book. I'm finishing up the spread with some flower stamping and also some blue vines, and then I will do some black, I don't know, they look like bubbles to me, black bubbles, and then that will be done for this stats page. And as always, I have so loved putting together my reading journal pages. They just make me so happy. And I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing these come together. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.